Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It seems when Matheson resigned as Health Minister, he left the NHS in complete disarray. It is falling apart, it's dying on its feet, and it is very, very close to being terminally damaged. And that's, of course, because the man is incapable of being a health minister generally. And, of course, for the last month or so of his, or the last 3 months really, of his time as health minister, he wasn't coming in and doing his day job. He was locking the door and knocking one out because that's all he's got left in his sad little life. He didn't want to talk to anyone. He didn't want to deal with anything. He was too busy worrying about what was on his iPad. And should anyone actually find out about it, it would be the end of his career. Well, it's already done. His career's finished. He's done. He's dusted. But at what cost? The cost, of course, is a destruction of the NHS. Let's take a look. So, disgraced Michael Matheson left the NHS fighting for its life, as his last month in charge brought record high figures. Well, every month he was in charge from basically a year. He was there about a year, not quite a year, but almost a year. But for every month he was in charge, every month's waiting list time got longer and longer and longer. And it actually peaked at the point where there were people waiting 19 hours in an ambulance in the car park of a hospital because they couldn't get them into A&E. Now that is the sign of a failing health service, but it's more the sign of a failure of the minister. It's his baby and he couldn't nurse that thing to health. And so this is why it's so bad. And so you've got this failure of a politician, this inadequate man, this tosser-offer in Moroccan hotel rooms, fondling himself rather than actually doing his day job, and then worrying about all the fondling that he's done. The shamed former Scottish Government Health Secretary resigned last month, finally. But in January, his last month in job, more patients than ever waited more than 12 hours to be seen in Scotland's struggling A and E departments. And do we think it's going to get better? Probably not. Disgraced Michael Matheson left an NHS that is fighting for his life as his last month in charge brought these record high figures and left more struggling Scots in limbo than ever before. The SNP minister quit his job as Health Secretary in February to deal with a damning report which may say he misled parliamentary officials. Now that report itself, and it was almost one of the first things I did this morning in a short, is still yet to be released. Now it should have been released yesterday. And we're thinking that the planning is that he's delaying, he's doing this, he needs more time. He's probably, somebody pointed out in the comments, he's going to go down the mental health route and all this. Because he wants to hang on until the 1st of April to get his 6.7% pay rise, which then affects everything going forward. And that's basically what it is. But I think they should still publish the report immediately now. He's had his 2 weeks, he's had his 10-day extension, and now he's trying to play for even more time. No. Release it and then let it be out there and then make him resign. Anyway, new figures have been released for January which revealed an NHS in chaos as delayed discharges and the time patients waited in A&E increased, as indeed did the amount of operations cancelled. And it's led to pleas for new Health Secretary Neil Gray to urgently sort these issues out. Now, the thing about Neil Gray is ever since he's taken over, it's been a month now, he's done nothing. He's not been seen, he's not talked about it, he's not acted on it, he's changed nothing. He's become the invisible man. So when this month's figures are released for February, it's going to be worse, and that will mean that Gray is yet another failure in the role as health minister. But I don't expect anything less than that with Gray. He's never had the experience, he's never ran a department that size. He comes from a journalism background, not a management background. And so obviously, when you've got someone with no experience outside of Parliament, no political experience, it's very important you give him the biggest department straight off the bat. It's mental, isn't it? Anyway, December 2022 was the previously record-breaking month when it was 8821. There were 57,860 days spent trapped in hospital by patients whose discharge was delayed, higher than the same point in 2023. It's getting worse, isn't it? The SNP government promised to end delayed discharges back in 2015. So that was a lie too. Been 9 years and they still haven't got rid of it. And in fact, not only not got rid of it, the problem has got worse. Anyway, this was when the current Finance Secretary, Shona Robertson, was in charge of the brief. Do you know, it's amazing. And if you look at everyone who's ever had health in Scotland since the SNP took over, it's been failure after failure after failure. Not one of them has left it better than when they took it over. Instead, these issues have got worse. Operations also continue to lag well below pre-pandemic levels, with the number of them planned in January 2024 at 16% lower than the same month in 2020. And that was when you had COVID hitting. When comparing activity for the last 12 months compared to the same pre-2021, there were 55,000 fewer operations, and the immense pressure on hospitals has impacted patients. Now, it's going to be everywhere. It's all going to be bad, but cancer is the worst. There are people dying of cancer before they even see the oncologist. Never mind between seeing the oncologist and the beginning of treatment, or even during treatment. Before they be going to the GP and trying to get to see the oncologist is so long, people are dying. You've got to go private. The chaos is not just the handiwork of Michael Matheson or Humza Yousaf before him. It is the culmination of 17 years. I literally said this. Big brain, boff. 17 years of SNP incompetence. Patients have been left stranded for hours on end because overstretched A&Es cannot cope. Yet here's the thing. If you stop wanking money away on independence and put it into the NHS, you could do some good. But they're never going to do that because they literally don't give a shit about people. They only want to push their little wet dream of independence because that's all these people have got. Scottish Conservative Shadow Health Secretary Sanders Gillane said, under this failing SNP government, it's become an unacceptable norm for over a third of patients to wait for more than 4 hours to be seen in A&E. And we know that these excessive waits lead to tragic, needless loss of life. Hundreds of people a year die in A&E, just sitting in A&E, dying in A&E, waiting. Hundreds. It's shameful. They should be triaged immediately. You'd be better off going to a vet. Anyway, I shall stop there. I shall round off and I shall come up and we shall finish the video. But, you know, he is a wanker. That's all he is. And he's screwed the NHS beyond all hope and then disappeared. And he's never been seen again. He's ashamed and shameful. Coming up. I think there needs to be charges against incompetence by ministers. They seem to have this ability that they can walk away from jobs, screw things up so badly, make things so much worse, and then just walk away without accountability. I believe there needs to be legal accountability to ministers, that if they fail to do their job, if they fail to deliver, or if they fail to at least tick things over, then there must be some kind of culpability and they could be prosecuted. I mean, that certainly concentrate the mind. And not just health ministers, all ministers in all fields. What Matheson has done by sheer incompetence and lack of turning up and doing his job is to cause unknown numbers of people pain, suffering and death. And that is the measure of the man. We know he's a wanker, but he's actually a super wanker. And I hope he has a miserable life when he's thrown out, can't get a job. His wife will probably divorce him. There's problems apparently because of the way he treated the kids. And when he comes home one day and he's all there, all alone, unworking, you know, sitting at home all day, looking at his wife, looking at each other, aren't they? Through squinty eyes, then loathing. She'll loathe him. He gets out. It's a little grey pair of underpants as he's walking around the bedroom, and she'll look at him and go, "What the hell am I doing with you, you loser?" And that'll be it. And there he'd be. Middle-aged man, divorced, Kids hate him because he's thrown them under the bus. No career, nothing. And he wouldn't get a job, would he? Bloody, well, not quite convicted fraudster, but ain't far off. He deserves all he gets. Anyway, I'm stopping there. Coming up, I'm already up. I'm going to stop there and finish. Thank you very much for watching. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.